It's hot, so I'm naked and covered in sweat. But let's just ignore that for a second, because that's not what the video is about. This video is about Duel Monsters. Why? Because I've got an amazing memory, and I've been thinking about Duel Monsters lately. I played a few different card games in my lifetime, but none of them have ever meant as much to me as Duel Monsters. That's one that I stuck with actively for years, and at one point even considered competing in tournaments. But let's start off. Duel Monsters is the actual name of the card game from the TV series Yu-Gi-Oh! See, that's one of the biggest complaints I have about it, is that everyone calls it, hey, let's play Yu-Gi-Oh! When technically the official name is Duel Monsters, but whatever. Let's move on. That's not what we're here to talk about. I had a deck. It was a great deck. First of all, there were a lot of rules. Like, I think it was like no less than 40 cards in your deck, but no more than 60, or something like that. I think there were some sort of official rules. Most people didn't follow them. I tried to whenever possible. But like, the main reason I stopped playing was because so many people kept disregarding the rules. But whatever. While I was playing, I ended up creating a dark deck. And actually, honestly, it could have ended up being anything else. I went with dark deck just because I stumbled upon a Mystic Plasma Zone, which gives 500 attack points to every dark monster, whereas every other field card, whether, they would give, the forest, it gives insects like 200 or 300 attack points or whatever. Stuff like that. But Plasma Zone gave 500 attack points, so automatically every monster I have just goes up another star just because that thing is on the field. So I ended up focusing on only getting dark monsters. And I only had 2 summon monsters. First of all, I only had like 42, 44 cards, so I was barely above minimum, and a lot of people would just... I did not intend this to be innuendo, but that's the first thing that thought of my head. But like, a lot of people would tell me that my deck was too small and I couldn't do any real damage because I didn't have enough summon monsters. But honestly, my deck was perfect for me, and that's the one thing everyone should know. When you're playing a game, you build a deck that suits your own personality. And I had a very quick deck. For one thing, yes, I only had one monster that you actually had to sacrifice to summon, and that was Summon Skull, because you only had to sacrifice one monster, and he there was still 2,500 attack points. So that, other than that, every single monster was 4 stars or less. And a lot of people say for that reason alone, because, you don't have any strong monsters. I've got a lot of good power-ups. So I had 2, I think it was Sword of something. Well, it's like 500 attack points plus, when it gets destroyed, you can go back to the top of the deck. I had 2 Malevolent Nuzzlers, 700 attack points, and if your monster gets destroyed, you can pay 500 to get it back on your deck. Pretty much every magic card I had was some sort of power-up, just about, except I had one quick play magic that was a Dispel card. It takes away one of your magic or trap cards. And most of my trap cards were about protecting me in some way, because I know I had at least one trap hole. I could have had 2 or 3, don't remember, but I know I had at least one. And I had Waboku, which I've heard different arguments about this. So really, I just adjusted to whatever rule the person I was playing against said, but I can't remember if it was what the actual card said, if either it took the attack monster's power, if it took the attacking monster's attack power to 0, or if it just meant no matter the outcome of the battle, you don't take 0 life points. I think it was the second one. I had 3 of those, and I also had 3 lances. I can't remember. It was like Lance of Longinus or something. I don't know. I might be confusing this with Neon Genesis Evangelion or something, but there was some sort of lance where it absorbs the monster's attack points. So if I don't have a monster on the field, then it's just null and void. Your attack does nothing. If I do have a monster on the field and you attack me with a high card, then you destroy my defensive monster, but I just gain 2,800 life points. And that was half my strategy. Because I can take away your life points and keep gaining mine. Yes, I only had one monster summon skull to sacrifice for, but I had the trap holes. I had the some sort of ninja assassin. I can't remember the actual name of the card, but it was just Man-Eater Beast. You flip him over, he destroys a monster that you summoned. So, it's fun to watch people get flustered and frustrated because they're trying to summon their strong monster, but I keep either stopping it or I just go ahead and let them summon their monster and then just kill it the moment it shows up on the field. And also, meanwhile, they keep losing life points no matter what, because I had 9 monsters. 3 that all had 1,600 attack points, because you could have 3 of each monster. There was one that was kind of a werewolf sort of thing, and one that was some sort of drill monster machine, I don't know. But I had 3 different cards that 1,600 attack points, and if there's a monster with more attack points than them, they can attack your life points directly. So it's a situation where if I have no power-ups to give him, I can put him on the board, and if he's not able to win the battle, then I can just ignore the battle. I take 1,600 of yours, and if you summon, you're a big guy, defeat me, I only lose 900. So technically, I'm still doing better than you, unless I already have the Waboku, in which case you lost life points, I didn't. I'm still right where we started, and I just have to summon a new monster. Or if I use the Lance, in which case you just lost all the life points that I just gained. So it's like I just siphoned your life points. Suck on that. But yeah, those monsters were my favorites. Those were the ones I used most of the time because, like I said, 1,600, it's not a bad attack point. So they're strong enough they can handle a lot of lower class monsters. But if you have a big, strong monster, I can just bypass you, attack your life points directly, and in a long drawn-out battle, I'm beating you. And also, I had one, I can't remember if this is the exact name, but it's like Ryokoki or something like that. It's a giant snake monster made out of skulls. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it any better than that. It's a giant snake made out of skulls. And only 4 stars, so you didn't have to sacrifice to get it, but it was as strong as summon skull. And it had a special ability that anytime it faces a magician or a warrior, I think that's what they were called. But yeah, it would destroy them whether it won or not. So if I put you can spend your entire battle trying to summon, Dark Magician Buster Blader, or fuse them into a Dark Buster Blader, and then guess what? I don't even have to sacrifice. I just throw my Ryokoki right down, and even if I lose, I still take your guy right out. And so, yeah, and then, so that's probably the best thing about mine, because just about every monster I had in my deck had some sort of special ability. 2 of my favorites that I rarely ever got to use them, but they had beautiful abilities. One of them, it was like a red moon baby, I think, and it was basically a vampire toddler. Only 700 attack points, but it had a special ability that if it defeated an opponent's monster, that monster came to my side of the board. Most of the time, Red Moon Baby would be like face down in defense mode, or just sacrifice him, protect my life points, or sacrifice for a bigger guy. Just one of those. But, if I had the right power-ups, if I've got Mystic Plasma Zone and Malevolent Nazla, I can bump his attack points up to 1,900, and then, he actually becomes a formidable opponent, but most of the time, didn't get to use him. And then, I had another one, some sort of red plasma monster. It kind of looks like just a giant red blood cell or something, but, actually, no, it looked more like an animal cell. But anyways, it was just this giant blob of plasma that, when it does damage to your life points, doesn't even have to attack. I don't think it had to attack you directly. I think it was just that if it attacks and you end up losing life points, it gains 1,000 attack points on the next turn. Now, I've only ever used him once, Or her, I don't know. I've ever only used it once. But it was so beautiful because the opponent just had no idea what was coming. I already had Summon Skull on the board, and they were so focused on Skull they didn't even ask what the Plasma's ability was. So Summon Skull attacks the monster, then Plasma attacks your life points directly. Only 100 attack points the first turn. But the special ability was that every time it damages your life points, he gets 1,000 attack points. So, especially if you have power-ups, so it's like if I play him on the field, oh, he's only got 100, but Mystic Plasma Zone, I got the Nuzzler and the Sword. That's another 1,700. So he already one-star monster starting with 1,800 attack points. And then he does damage to your life points. If you do not destroy him on your turn, the next time I draw a card, suddenly his attack points go up to 2,800. Now he's stronger than any card any of us have in our decks, and you're just fucking screwed. And that's all there is to it. Once again, I have only been able to use his abilities once in a real fight, but it was something beautiful. No, I had the Plasma Zone and equipped him with a sword, added 1,000, so he had 1,100, and the Summon Skull was protecting it. And so then very next turn, all they did was put a defensive monster down. Next turn, boom. Now this Plasma monster has 2,100 attack points. And then the next turn after that, 3,100. And there was no next turn after that because we just wiped out their life points. That's all there was to it. But that was the end of the match. It was beautiful. I miss Duel Monsters. It was a fun game. I stopped playing it because people kept cheating. A lot of people would just print out their own cards, like Silavoi, Kalkos, and all the Egyptian gods. And honestly, it didn't scare me. I still won most of the time anyways. But it pissed me off that people just weren't respecting the game. And then they'd get pissed off because even though they cheated to win, I still would beat them half the time. And even actually defeated one of the Egyptian cards. I let someone go ahead and summon the that sky dragon thing, the red snake. I want to say Slytherin, but that's Harry Potter. And they summoned that sky dragon, and I still managed to kill the dragon and win the game. And they got pissed off telling me I cheated, and I'm like, that's clearly a fake card that you printed. Seal of Orichalcos, clearly a printed card. And you're not actually following the rules according to what the cards say. You're just making shit up to try and make yourself invincible. And I still won. And you're gonna say I cheated because you're mad that you lost. Long story short, I quit playing because I was tired of these assholes who weren't actually taking it seriously. But unfortunately, the only way I could have a fair game playing by the rules would be to do it in tournaments, which I never wanted to do. It was supposed to be fun. It's a game. It's supposed to be fun. But it wasn't fun anymore. No, I didn't want to have to do it just to win. I enjoy winning, but even more, I just enjoyed the spirit of the competition. Plus, back then I never once considered the possibility that, you can actually make a living playing games. Like esports, I never could have seen that coming. But anyways, yeah. I missed that deck. It was a great deck. It was a small deck, but it was a quick deck. And it was pretty much impossible to beat me. Not because I'm that good, but because I built a deck that fits my personality. See, I didn't have to do research to figure out how to beat you. I just watched how you played and countered whatever the hell you did. See, you can't defeat my strategy because my entire strategy is to fuck with your strategy. Whatever you're trying to do, I'ma undo it. And I think the only one time I ever lost just because the cards weren't in it for me. I mean, there are times when I lose because, like I said, some people would cheat, and every now and then I'd actually lose to someone just because they were a good player. Most of the time, if I lost, it's because someone's cheating with all these fake cards and made up rules and shit. But in a fair fight, I almost always won. And the only time I ever lost a fair fight is because from the very beginning, cards were just stacked against me. I don't even know how this happened. My first hand was nothing but magic cards, and I just couldn't do anything. And I'm getting majority magic and trap cards, which almost never happens because I have more monsters than I do magic and trap. But somehow, some reason, every single magic and trap card I had was just at the very top of the deck, and so yeah, I just couldn't defend myself, couldn't do anything. I ended up losing, but for the most part, I won the majority of my games, and even when I was losing, well, once I built my dark deck and started implementing my strategy, I won the majority of the time, and I had fun winning. And I only ever got upset about losing because I knew that in a fair fight, you don't have these bullshit cards and you're actually playing according to the rules. I kick your ass. Easily. Whatever. That's my experience. I mean, I know my mom was really into Magic the Gathering. Looked at it, never got that into it. I tried Pokemon and Digimon. Actually, I got kind of into a Digimon game on, like, PlayStation, I think. But, like, a digital card game. It was fun, but I don't know. I don't remember anything about it. It was so long ago. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of the only things that I stuck with it for years on end, and I got really fucking good. And now, I'm gonna go check on my food on the stove and turn on the AC real quick. It is hot in here. Trying to save that money, man.